Welcome everyone back to Spoiler Warning. You are of course joining myself, Tom Colohue, as we talk the world of wrestling. Our top story today will be as regards the return schedule of The Rock. We're also going to talk a little bit about Bloodline and WrestleMania, why Bret Hart is appearing today on Raw, the fake leaked earnings list, which is absolute garbage, Tony Khan dodging questions during press conferences, why we are still waiting for an announcement from AEW on Warner Bros. Discovery, a significant push planned for Bronson Reed, what is going on with Kiana James and her being pulled from the main roster, and also a little bit as regards rumours of an AEW show debuting on Fox. So, those are your headlines. We will of course be answering as many of your questions as we can, so hit that like button, get that thumbs up going, and as we go into our top story, I want you to answer a simple question for me. I want to see everyone answering if they can. Come WrestleMania, who would you like to see The Rock facing? There are three options here: Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, or no one. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, or no one. So let's dive in. The rumours of The Rock returning to the WWE soon have essentially been going on for 6 years. I've covered extensively how Dave Meltzer makes a living reporting that first, we're going to see The Rock, and secondly, we're not going to see The Rock. That is a large amount of the traffic that he seems to get and the attention that he gathers. Now, these particular rumours started quite recently, but they started on a private Discord for, shall we say, not one of the big sources. It's not a PWInsider, it's not a PWTorch, it's not a Fightful paywall, it's none of those. It is coming from a private Discord, and as such the information is far from verified. In fact, this information seems to be largely based on the same information as the rumours that we heard before SummerSlam. The Rock's schedule is expected to open up in the next few months. Publicly, he's going to start filming, and there are already WrestleMania plans in place for him versus Cody Rhodes. So we are definitely going to see him in the build-up to WrestleMania. I expect to see him around Royal Rumble time. It's not difficult then to make a statement that he'll be back in a few months. Yes, he will. How many months? Let's see if we can lock that in, because so far, as I say, it's just coming out of a private Discord. When The Rock does return, he's not expected to jump straight into Bloodline drama. Bloodline drama is expected to be independent, at least for a little while we work with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, which is indeed the plan. We'll go into more depth as regards who other members of the Bloodline will face at WrestleMania, but The Rock is not expected to be acting in a capacity of the Roman Reigns Bloodline or the Solo Sikoa Bloodline yet. He will eventually be forced to make a choice, but he may steer clear of the Bloodline, at least for now, until he can get some Cody Rhodes down his throat, shall we say. These rumours at the moment are unfounded. I've not been able to confirm anything about it, but as you all know, you can make a living reporting that The Rock is going to be there, and then follow up by reporting that The Rock's not going to be there. People do tend to make that living. Let me know in the chat who you want to see The Rock face at WrestleMania: Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, or no one. Give me anyone that you want to see him face. We will, of course, be continuing to answer questions. We have 72 people watching already. Only the 27 likes, so remember to hit the thumbs up as well. And I'll read as many of your comments as I can, starting now. Spider Boston Teller Tom would love to see Roman versus The Rock, but WWE will do Roman versus Solo. Sean says hi, Tom. Hello, Sean. Sean also says, do you know what happened to Kiana James? More on that later. Leon says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you, Leon. Welcome to the show. Few people have answered that question. Let me just make sure I've not missed anything. Bliss Gamer says, very interesting that the Wyatt Six are starting off Raw. Robin Dave says, hey Tom, how are you doing this evening? Doing very well, thank you. It's been a good day. Roger says, any news on Odyssey Jones being fired from WWE? We've heard the rumours. We haven't seen confirmation of anything so far, and I'm waiting on more information because so far no one seems to be wanting to say anything. We have our first person giving their opinion on who they want The Rock to face. Leon wants The Rock to face Cody Rhodes. Bailey does not want The Rock to face anyone. Struggers, new name, welcome to the show, wants Seth Rollins to face The Rock. Juan says Rock versus Roman. Nick also wants Roman Reigns. Michael says hi Tom. Welcome Michael, nice to see you mate. Marcel wants Roman Reigns. Spiderboss says WWE bring Kiana James to the main roster and in 7 months they don't have any plans for her. They should have kept her on NXT. More on that shortly. Robin Day says I want him to face Roman, but it's probably going to be Cody. Ed says, hey Tom. Hey Ed, how you doing, mate? Chris says, good. I like that. Good afternoon. Don't forget to hot tag the like button. I mean, we're building to a hot tag now, but you don't need to build. You can just go for it. You can just go for it. For those not already aware, typically what we do in order to sort of help the development of this channel, one of the easiest ways to support without necessarily being too involved is to quote tweet my announcement tweet. On my profile, it is pinned to the very top, the announcement tweet that this show is going live. We've had plenty of quote tweets today. I have shared every single one of them. Roman Empire YSR. I'm about to share yours. Thank you very kindly. The link for that is at the top of the YouTube page. Sean says, since Julia is having her first match tomorrow in NXT, it's made fans, mostly Roxanne fans, say Julia will lose to Roxanne on the CW episode now. Yeah, a lot of people are going to say stuff with no grounds or basis in fact whatsoever. They don't know. Declan says, have a great day and watch the pig. Thank you, Declan. You too, and always and forever, watch that pig. Watch the pig, guys. If you don't already know, watch the pig. Shower Game says, Cody this year, have Roman screw him over, then use the next year to build Roman versus Rock at Mania 42. Match is big enough to get a long, long build. Don't forget Roman is a face now. My expectation is that after vanquishing Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania, I think they might do another match earlier on just to get them going. What we'll see is after Roman loses to Cody, after Rock loses to Cody, Roman comes down and says, see, wasn't so easy, was it? And you're giving me all this shit. And feud starts just like that. Would be fun for me. Troy says, good evening, Tom. Welcome, Troy. Wikipedia says, what's up, everyone? Kind of a sad day. We just lost James Earl Jones. We did. That has just hit the news. Mufasa, Darth Vader, voice of the childhood. And indeed, unfortunately, no longer with us. Bliss Gamer says there's a new entry in the Uncle Howdy journal. It will continue, of course. Juan says, hey Tom, first Tony Khan says, I'm confident it will stay on Warner Brothers Discovery, then proceeds to say, I haven't put pen to paper. Either he hates the offer or is content with playing with fire. I believe, to be blunt, actually wait, no, I'll save this for a bit later. I'll give you a hint as to what I'm going to be talking about. I think he's trying to keep people talking when there is absolutely nothing to talk about. Trekipedia says everyone hit the thumbs up, share and subscribe please. Thank you Trekipedia. 35 likes already. Let's keep that ball rolling. Hector says give us a thrice in a lifetime John Cena. I mean it was once in a lifetime and as such we should get it a lot more. The other Mike says Rock versus Cody at Royal Rumble. Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania. Sean says the first hour of Raw is commercial free tonight. It's almost like they expect big things to happen. Gonna be a good night for Jey Uso. Noom says, hello, Mr. Colohue. How are you doing today? Doing very well, thank you. Ed says, Rock versus not being in the ring. Hopefully his fitness levels are a bit higher than they were this year's WrestleMania, I'll say that. Sid says, is WWE going to sign any free agents for the main roster? Yes, most notably, they're trying to get Becky Lynch. I think she used to work there. Who can tell? Luton Crest says, good evening, Tom. What do you think is the deal with the White Six versus American Made match? Why is Nikki not featured in the graphic? Will Ivy not participate? Ivy will participate. Nikki will undoubtedly get involved. But it's a case that, at the moment, Nikki Cross, as I've previously reported, will not be getting too involved in the women's roster overall. Ricky says, hi Tom, buddy. Happy Monday. Good to see you, mate. I've been MIA, had surgery, but recovering slowly. Sorry to hear that, mate. Hope it was a surgery that was, beneficial to you and that you're recovering well. Don't worry about being MIA. If you can't make it, you can't make it. I never judge or blame anyone for doing so. Happy to hear you're okay and hopefully you're doing better. Ed says, any thoughts on JR suggesting a photo from superstars talking in the ring before doors open being a reason to fire someone? Yeah, he's very old school. And for him it probably is, but he's not really involved in that role anymore, so it doesn't really matter what he thinks. I mean, we're talking about The Rock, so yeah, it doesn't matter. Shall I get into Happy Monday, Tom? Hope you have a great week ahead of you. What are your thoughts on those moments from All Out? I will be discussing this in a little more detail a little later. We have plenty more that we're going to be talking about, and there is a lot about Tony Khan and AEW. So yeah, you can stay excited for that one. Andrew Quinn says, hello Tom, hope you're well. I think Cody versus The Rock happens at the Rumble, and Roman costs The Rock, and we get Roman Rock at WrestleMania 41. That's what I predict, but it'll be an interesting few months of planning. It will indeed. Scorpio says, hello Tom, any Wyatt news? Not at this point in time. They are still in the establishing phase, and the Wyatt 6 are not considered PLE ready just yet. Spider-Boss says, Tony Khan dodges the question about Britt Baker at the All Out media scrum. TK must be disappointed with what Britt has done since her return. More on that later. Trekkipedia says, just have to say the plastic bag spot and the syringe spot made me sick to my stomach. I'm glad both men are okay, but just scary and dangerous spots. Marcel says, please watch the pig. Cecil says, hello Tom, thumbs up. I'm watching that pig. Good day from the USA. Good day to you, sir. Then he says, is it true Cody Rhodes is getting sued? Cody Rhodes is part of a lawsuit that is actively happening against the WWE right now. Michael says, Andrew Zarian has basically said the deal is done. He has said that a few times by and large. He seems to be celebrating early. I'll say that. And I like Andrew Zarian. He seems to be celebrating early. Trekkipedia said it's official. Hulu has erased SmackDown. If you try and look for it, it says that it's not available. It does not have the legal right to broadcast SmackDown anymore. Evening, Dan. Good to see you. Drive-by says Roman should retire Rock at WrestleMania. No better way to go out than in Vegas with family. If so, next year might be the year instead. Michael says nobody in AEW or Warner Brothers will be able to speak on it. No, they will not, but they will find their ways. This guy says, other than Randy Orton, are there any plans to add more big names and surprises to NXT when they go head with Dynamite in October? I do believe we've mentioned CM Punk as an example there. Roger, Rock will be a heel. Next up, let's talk a little bit about some of the plans that are being discussed for WrestleMania. Just to wrap up where we were talking Bloodline, I've mentioned Roman versus Solo quite extensively. I've mentioned Rock versus Cody quite extensively as well. I did see that WrestleVotes today confirmed my reporting that we would see Hell in a Cell CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at Bad Blood. What the hell? No. And nice of them to confirm it, and I appreciate that. Looking at WrestleMania, there's a couple of options available to the WWE, depending on how many matches are already lined up. One of them is a 6-man tag match, Old Bloodline versus New Bloodline, just not involving the leaders. That'll be a 6-man tag, Shield versus Wyatt family style, which I'm hearing good things about the planning for it. They've not really got in depth yet, but the planning is still storyline based. They're also considering separating them down. A tag team championship match, the former Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, versus the Usos, versus a reunited Usos, in many ways attempting to protect Jimmy Uso upon his return. That also leaves the door open for a Sami Zayn versus Jacob Fatu singles match, which honestly I think has potential to be one of the matches of the night for WrestleMania. Personally, I would be thrilled with that concept. Absolutely thrilled. Plenty more news to come. 116 viewers, 44 likes. One more gets us to 45, and then we're en route to 50. 116 people, I think we can do it. Let's see what we can do. I'll continue with the chat. After that, we will be talking Bret Hart, the fake report of earnings from WWE, Tony Khan's press conference, the AEW Warner Brothers deal, a significant push planned for Bronson Reed, what's going on with Kiana James, and the rumours of an AEW show on Fox. We'll be covering all of this at quite some length. Robin Dave says, I know we ain't there yet, but would you think that Roman costs The Rock at WrestleMania or the other way around? It's not very face to cost someone else a match. Danny says, hello Tom, my friend. Hope you're well. Smash up the likes, people. Doing very well, thank you. I've broken a lot more wall in this here office that you can't see at the moment. I can see it. I'm going to need to rehang a door, so if anyone knows how to do that, that'd be great. Spider-Boss says, I see Jey Uso winning tonight, even with the Judgment Day getting involved. Be a good night either way. Bullet Ryan says, I wonder who'll be the 4th member of American Made tonight. Interesting, not something I've considered. Nick says, Nikki's been added within the last few hours to the graphic. A lot of people asking questions on that one. Cal says, hey, as always, hope you and the family are well. Hope the house is coming along well. It is. We're now at a point where we're happy with a lot of the rooms we've got. At least they're in a livable state. We're overall satisfied that we can live here. But now we're trying to make them better, and that necessitates holes and breakages and the like. So yeah, we're starting to really see the level of work that's going to have to go into this. And we're excited and overwhelmed. Noob says, All Out was good until those 3 matches went overboard. The one question everyone is talking about is AEW going too far. Trekkopedia says, get Tom to 45 likes, please. Thank you, Trekkopedia. Marcel says, I found some AEW spots going too far, but if people like it, I'm fine with it. Cal says, did the Wyatt 6 tweet hint Alexa or someone else? They've been hinting about Alexa for a while now. That says, Tom, do you see Bret calling out anybody? Also big up. There is indeed a plan for Bret Hart and Gunther, according to, I believe, PWInsider. Sean says, who do you think Lyra and Zelina's partner will be against Pure Fusion Collective? I think this is a perfect moment for Natalya to return. Roger says, are Chase U going to split up or is Rich Holland going to be kicked out? Not sure on that one. Don't really watch too much of the NXT at the moment. I would lean towards Rich Holland being heel because he's naturally easier to dislike because of Big E. One says, hey Tom, remember BJ Bethel, journalist from Forbes? Same guy reported Warner Brothers and AEW have an agreement in principle, now doubles down by saying the deal is now done. Like, why? I always love the idea of deals done in principle. Like, technically the Becky Lynch deal is done in principle. No deal is done until someone signs. Hector says, Tom, did you see Kevin Nash shooting on Logan Paul? Or is upset about how much Logan makes? I wonder if he knows that the boys in the back benefit from all the money he's making in the WWE. He can be upset. That's fine. This is not his generation, and it's not really his generation for a reason. Spider-Man says, Moxley turning on Bryan Danielson was surprising. I didn't see it coming. You'll never see it coming. Bailey says, as for Jim Ross's from the Territory era, a lot of them have never quite warmed up to face and heels being seen together in the ring. A very fair point. Roger says, will we get Cena versus The Rock? It depends on the availability of The Rock. It seems unlikely at this point. Michael says, I was today years old when I found out James Earl Jones is the voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa in The Lion King. Unfortunately, Michael, we now have to say was. Trekkopedia says, Dr. Pepper is amazing. I love the strawberries and cream one. Oof. To be fair, I'm not the Dr. Pepper fiend here. My partner is, so it's always available. It has not replaced Cherry Coke one. Nothing will ever replace Cherry Coke. Cherry Coke is my one true love. It is my bae. It is my bishy. Danny says, when will we see John Cena back in the ring? John Cena did state that his retirement tour was 2025. Spider-Boss says, Triple H has forgot there is more women in the Raw Women's division apart from Rhea and Liv Morgan. Triple H has focused more on the Liv versus Rhea rivalry instead of the Raw Women's division. Pure Fusion Collective, Damage Control, there are options. Drive-By says, do you think AEW went too far with the violence at All Out? That is a piece of news and a discussion we will be covering shortly. Dad says, when is Jimmy coming back? All of my reports as to when people will be returning to wrestling, particularly to WWE, went live last Sunday when we did a WTF Wrestling detailing 11 WWE wrestlers who could be returning in the near future. Trekkopedia is excited, says 50 likes, let's go. Folks, already up to 54, one more to 55. Roger says, when will AJ Styles be returning? It depends who you ask. If you ask me, relatively soon. If you ask PWInsider, several weeks ago. They seem to have a blind spot for AJ Styles. It's very funny. Cal says, Tom, do you see Bron Breakker surpassing Gunter's reign as IC champ? No, but I also didn't see Gunter surpassing Honky Tonk Man's reign. I think Gunter loses it at WrestleMania. Noob says, Sami Zayn is going to beat Jacob Fatu, isn't he? I find it unlikely. Vicky, welcome. Says, hey Tom, first time here watching live. Hope all is well. All going very well, thank you. Welcome to the show. Apologies, the chat's very busy, so it takes me a little while to reach people. But welcome. Great to see you. Hope you're enjoying it. Wiggly says, hello all. Hope you're all well. Doing very well, thank you, Wiggly. Sid, nothing on TNA this time. I actually do quite like Cherry Sprite. It's great for a white wine spritzer. By also asking for news on AJ Styles' return. At this point, he's just basically... the terms of his contract mean that he doesn't necessarily have to return too regularly. He has a limited day contract and he's enjoying it. Blair says, Tom, what's up, man? Welcome, Blair. Good to see you. Sid says, any news on the Hardys' return to WWE? To my knowledge, the WWE is not interested in a return for the Hardys. Spider-Boss says, who do you think will be Lyra Valkyria and Zelina's mystery tag partner for tonight on Raw? I do lean towards this being the ideal time for Natalya's return. Andrew says, I think the new Moxley faction attacking Bryan Danielson for some reason. I think Shane McMahon is behind the attack. That would be confusing. To my knowledge, there is no interest in Shane McMahon being an on-screen figure in AEW. Carl says, I don't think people realise saying they hate Solo shows how good of a job Solo is doing. He's supposed to be hated. I don't personally see Fatu turning on Solo. I do, but not for a while. Shark Game says, are there currently discussions regarding Tonga Loa being the one to beat Cody for the title, or should I end all hope on that? Currently, hell no. Andrew says, any news on Ricky Starks joining WWE, and will we ever see Omega join WWE? Ricky Starks is still under contract to AEW. There are no plans right now for him to join WWE. As regards Kenny Omega, seems unlikely at this point. Martin says, hi Tom, sorry for my tardiness, being live, not tardy, working. Want to say hello to you and all. Smackers like them off back to the beginning. Enjoy, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Sid says, will it be a one night only for Bret Hart? And that is my next piece of news, so let's dive into it. Bret Hart is making a special appearance tonight. It is not going to be a regular occurrence. He is not going to be a regular fixture. Bret Hart has previously refused to appear on WWE TV for several years under Vince McMahon. He's also infamously not necessarily Triple H's biggest fan either. So what I will say is it's interesting finding out that Nick Khan and apparently Stephanie McMahon have largely helmed this particular appearance. Bret Hart, it has been reported, will be working with Gunter in some capacity. He will not be getting physical, but there will be someone else involved. Likely, of course, Sami Zayn. Bret Hart is there to pass a little bit of a rub onto Sami Zayn. And as I say, he's previously refused to do so on many occasions. Something changed backstage. Bret Hart, as you know, introduced the AEW Championship way back when. His allegiances seem to have shifted. The plan is for a big rub for Sami Zayn, a big pop for the crowd, and making Gunter look like the menace that we know he can be. Plenty of news still to come. 62 likes so far, 3 more, get us to 65. We are at a very good number of viewers, 128, already 238 views. Wonderful number indeed. Here's a question I want to ask you, because we're talking about Bret Hart, we're talking about Gunter, we're talking about Sami Zayn. If Bret Hart was fit and raring to go, Bret Hart in his prime, who would you have him wrestle from the modern roster? You can have Bret Hart return for one match, wrestling in his prime. Who of the current roster would you have him wrestle? And I'll tell you who mine is right after I've read them. Calvin says, first the crowd pops when Cody points out Waller using Theory. They nearly popped when Theory pulled Waller off of KO. What do you make of it? I think they're doing a very good job at the moment in making sure that when Theory does turn, you care. Trekkipedia says, let's keep the like train going, folks. Please get to 60 likes. Ricky says, there's still push for Woods to go heel, or is that storyline dropped by WWE? It's been dropped. The story for him to turn heel was not being pushed by WWE at all. It was him trying to make it happen. Calvin said, do you see the Y6 feuding with Judgment Day at some point? Forever's a very long time. Martin says, P.S. Before I do watch All Out, and to be honest, I watched All Out. To be honest, thought the bag over the head was a little OTT, but hey ho, I'm not a hoe. Daniel says, hey Tom, watch out for the pig. Watch that pig. Everyone should watch that pig. Spanable says, 6 years ago, Moxley turned on his tag team partner Seth Rollins. 6 years later, Moxley turned on Bryan Danielson. Mox knows how to make a good heel turn. Hector says, Tom, I guess Eddie Kingston was right about Claudio this whole time. Then he said, will WWE be using Rosemary regularly? No. Sean says, I know you've said when a storyline is present, Alexa will be back. Do you think she'll be back by the end of the year? Personally, I lean in that direction, yes. TJ says, hi Tom, great to see you again. 2 questions. What is the plan for Bloodline Survivor Series? Is Howdy versus Cena a possibility for WrestleMania? Howdy versus Cena is a possibility, not necessarily for WrestleMania. As regards Bloodline Survivor Series, the plan is War Games. Andrew says, Brothers of Destruction need to be inducted next year in the Hall of Fame. Spiderbot says, PWInsider with the AJ Styles return news is the 2019 Brad Shepherd with the Sasha Banks will return after SummerSlam. What you mean is after Money in the Bank. She did return after SummerSlam. Drive-By says, do you see any returns for SmackDown in USA this Friday? Yes, I've reported them quite extensively. I expect a Roman Reigns. Joey says, hey Tom, who do you see Cody facing a bad blood since he's wrestling solo on SmackDown? I still lean towards Roman, personally. Marcel says, I want Cena versus Cody. YouTube thinks it's going to happen. Calvin said, do you see Trish being Lara and Zelina's partner tonight? Personally, no. I still think Natalya is going to be the one, though I won't be surprised if Trish is there. Roger thinks the Hardys should stay in TNA where they'll be much better used. I can't argue with that. And Keith Sean says, hey Tom, do you know what was in the syringe Hangman put in Swerve's mouth? No, but I'd imagine it was safe. Corey, thank you very kindly. That's a very, very generous donation, and I very much appreciate you for it. Says, I know I ask this every time, and I always feel bad because I can't answer the question, but any update on Motor City Machine Guns or Lucha Bros? FYI, no biggie, love your content. I don't have anything on the Motor City Machine Guns. I did have something on the Lucha Bros that I wanted to recap. I spoke to people within AEW. What I'm told is that there is no intention from Tony Khan to basically hold a talent to ransom, a talent like Rey Fenix, who's provided a lot for the company and was there in the very first days. With this in mind, the path is clear for the Lucha Brothers to arrive in WWE, where there is interest on all sides. Thank you very much, a very generous donation, and I appreciate Daz as well for saying thank you, saying a big up to Corey, and the 8 of you have hit like on that comment as well. That is your 5th super chat, Corey. Thank you very kindly. Thank you, Stephen, as well, for becoming a subscriber on the YouTube side. Welcome to the show. Glad to see you. And hopefully, if you have questions, dive in and ask away. I'll continue with the chat now. 67 likes, 3 more to 70. Oh, Eddie Gomez also asked about Lucha Brothers and Motor City Machine Guns. Lovely. Spider-Man says, I remember Bret Hart used to say Triple H and HBK tried to sabotage The Rock's push. Sean says, pretty lame how Giovanni Vinci was presented on SmackDown, losing quickly to Apollo Crews. Got people talking, though. Trichopedia says, can we get Tom to 70 likes? We're very close. Wheelie says, Bret Hart Prime versus Cody or Gunter. Pick one, mate. One. Trichopedia says, Bret Hart versus Sami Zayn. Don't hate it. I'd really enjoy that. Martin says, Gunter or Cody? One. Ed says, over Femi. Spiderball says, Prime, Bret Hart versus AJ Styles. That is probably where I would go as well, to be honest. Eddie says, Cody Rhodes. Bliss Gaming says, Ilya Dragunov. Ooh. Wiggly wants Roman Reigns. KJ also is there for Bret and AJ. One is also there for Roman Reigns. Nita Nitro says 100% Chad Gable or Kevin Owens. You just get one. Scorpio says Seth Rollins. Luke and Chris says Hart versus Gable would probably be great. That's an amazing shout. Amazing shout. Luke and Chris, I've already read that one. Marcel says Bret versus Seth. Dad says Bret versus Seth or Punk. You get one, Dad. So you get one. Billy says Bret versus AJ Styles in his prime. Roger has Bret versus Seth Rollins. Oh, there's some really good calls here. Wiggly would have wanted Bret Hart versus Edge. Rob and Dave gone with Bret versus Gunter. Hector says he's not on the roster, but Bret versus Bryan Danielson is a match I'd won. Oh, you... Oof. Guys, you spoil me. You spoil me indeed. TJ says Bret Hart versus Seth or Punk. You get one. Shard Game has Bret versus Sheamus. Interesting. Alyssa says, why is not main event PPV Cody Rhodes won a title reign? Cody Rhodes deserves feud. What are doing Cody Rhodes? Tim says Bret Hart versus Roman. Calvin says, I'm shocked Daniel Garcia didn't bloody up MJF. MJF already taken time out. Bailey also says, go ahead and click like on the super chat too. Thank you for the reminder, Bailey. Please do if you haven't already. It is just another little way that we can show our support for those that so generously support this channel. It is an extremely generous donation. 11 likes as well, which I've just... Generosity should always be returned, and that's just a great way to support him. Steve says, hi Tom, big football game tonight. Will be the last TV season for Raw in their Monday Night War with Monday Night Football. End of an era in a way. Yeah. Nitro says Trish is in the UK just now. Is she? Spiderball says, I think Roman will cost the match to Solo this Friday. Jacob Fatu will open the cage door and it will end with Roman spearing Solo. It's kind of what I go for as well. Wikipedia says, is Lita on good terms with WWE? We haven't seen her since the backstage attack. Hopefully she'll show up again soon. Yep. Ended on great terms. Happy overall. She just wanted to put someone over on the way out, basically. Andrew Quinn says Bret Hart versus Seth. Wiggly, realising you can only pick one, goes for Bret versus Roman. Scorpio says, do you think Braun would ever join the Wyatts? Everything I have on the Wyatts is already out there and live. You can check the WTF Wrestling playlist and you'll find a pretty in-depth video about what's going to happen with the Wyatts. Night Nitro says, I'm going to a Q&A with Bleacher on Tuesday. It'll be good to hear where she is at. Absolutely, that's great news, Night. By all means, try and find out what's going on and let us know. I'd appreciate it. Joey says, was there any truth to WrestleVote's report of WWE officials not liking the Vinci match? No one I've spoken to has been upset. That doesn't mean that people who spoke to WrestleVotes aren't different people and don't disagree, but no one I've spoken to is upset by it. As far as I can tell, everything went perfectly. Ooh, Wiggly suggests, what about Bret versus MJF? Ooh, Calvin. Kim Kardashian was a guest host at WrestleMania 24. What other Kardashian do you see appearing at the show of shows, if any? I don't know any, and I'm okay with it. If there are any Kardashian fans in here, by all means, answer Calvin's question for me. Declan says Bret versus Becky. I would like it. Sig says Rock returns. That is indeed our top story. Sig, if you just want to rewind the YouTube video right to the beginning, it's all there, ready for you to find. Chris Allen says Bret versus Nigel McGuinness. Interesting. Dan suggests Bret versus Balor, which is something that, nobody's mentioned yet, and it would be fun. Then goes with versus Gable. Gable also likes to plan out matches in a similar style. He's learned from Bret Hart. I'd be interested to see how that goes. Spider-Boss says Jack Perry's selling of the Busaiku knee was really good. Cecil says Bret Hart versus AJ Styles. The shocker. Still watching the pavement, so he should. Brad says Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle is a match I would have loved. Roger, I'm not going to read that. We all know why, apart from the fact that I know we don't. But all I'm going to say is, when it comes to the wrestler you've mentioned, I don't ever want to say or see anything. Ricky says Bret versus Bryan Danielson. Drive-by would have Bret versus Seth. Sean says, looks like there was a Street Trash shirt released for the Judgment Day. WrestleVotes have been doing a victory lap on that one, to be fair. And Sid says the YouTube stream is going perfect. Thank you very much, Sid. Wiggly says, is it true Lisa Marie Vaughan, aka Victoria, has signed a Legends contract and we expect a Hall of Fame induction in the near future? She has signed a Legends contract. I do expect her to be inducted at some point soon. Corey says Bret versus Angle, both in their primes, would have been fire. You are not wrong. Not wrong at all. Next piece of news, a quick hit on the fake leaked earnings list that has been going around Twitter. I first saw it via WrestleMania. Here's a little bit on media literacy for you. If someone posts something like that, it's almost always completely false for a number of reasons. One, that information is not publicly available. Two, there is no source listed at all, so you don't know where that information's come from. Three, it's not quantified. For example, they say in there, Roman Reigns earns $15 million. Is that per day? You have no idea. Nobody has a clue, because that information is not on there. It's not quantified. It's absolutely, categorically not real. Even at its most basic, Rhea Ripley does not earn more than Charlotte Flair. It's that simple. Rhea Ripley does not earn more than Charlotte Flair. She doesn't earn more than Bayley. She doesn't. Jey Uso is not in the top 10 earners. He isn't. So I think it's worth considering where you're getting your information. What I'd like you to do is remember who shared it, because it is not only false, I feel it's obviously false. Obviously false. Nita Nitro says, will do, Tom. Appreciate that. Spider-Boss says, is Triple H in good terms with Mercedes money? Yes, absolutely. King Azza says, Tom, I can see Roman pinning Solo in War Games. The Rock coming out and giving Roman a bottom, standing over him wearing the Ulafala, putting up the wands, leaving the crowd stunned. Certainly something that could potentially happen. Wrigley says, are there any plans for WWE to shun name redacted given his recent behaviours and comments? When will enough be enough? Triple H doesn't like the guy, so we haven't seen a lot. Interesting phrasing, Doug. Sean says, sorry to spoil you like this, but Bret Hart versus Jay White. That's not fair and you know it. Not fair and you know it. Sid said, was Bret Hart better face or heel? Personally, I feel face. Bam Bam says, is it true that Alexa will maybe be back tonight? It is true every day that there will be something that maybe will happen. The word maybe there is doing a lot of work, Bam Bam, a lot of work. Sean says, looks like Lara and Tatum have reunited. Could Tatum be the mystery partner? A lot of different options, and I always like it when they do that. And Jack, rightly so, Brock and Cena are still on the payroll. Yes, they are. Sid says, Jacqueline Moore has signed a Legends deal as well. They are locking people down for essentially the use of their names and merch, appealing to an older audience, and also making sure AEW can't get their hands on them. Spider-Bell says, it's funny that Kevin Nash complained about how much money Logan Paul makes. Kevin Nash used to make a lot of money back in WCW. He did. He was a rich boy. Calvin said, have you seen Batista recently? He looks so different. He does. He looks refined. Quite the silver fox. I'm into it, personally. I'm into it. Spider-Boss, unfortunately, I have no news on Jay White tonight. Joey says, it's a bad sign that Keanu was pulled from creative. More on that shortly. Calvin says, I'll never forget Bret beating the crap out of Vince at WrestleMania 26. He really enjoyed that. Trichopedia says, so the Hulk Hogan quote about name redacted, good lord, why? That was, of course, on my shorts as well. KJ says, now that I think about it, Bret versus Goldberg is the only option. Oof. Sid says, who do you think will be on the 2K24 cover? Cody seems the obvious choice, though Gunter would make a huge statement. I would love to see Gunter on the cover of 2K24. And if anyone makes a mock-up of that, I will absolutely share it. Once I say, Tom, I remembered September of 2022, Cody himself said he hopes AEW continues to grow and doesn't die because of his departure. Probably the only one who has nice things to say about AEW. Quite a lot of people do have nice things to say. Jade Cargill has nice things to say. She just wants to stop having to continually say it. Wrestling and Magic says, happy Monday, Tom. Good to see you, Wrestling and Magic. Been a little while. Glad to hear you're okay. Just before we continue with the news, I do want to quickly highlight what's going on with the channel at the moment. Over the last week, I've had 133,000 views, primarily over the course of 7 or 8 different shorts, which have done particularly well. Those shorts doing well has also driven quite a lot of traffic to my other videos and my long-form videos. So this has been, view count-wise, the most successful period this channel has ever had. You may notice I've changed what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And it comes to something relatively simple. I hope that Dan, Eve Wrestling, you're still in the chat, because I do think this is a conversation that we could have that you might really enjoy. Much like TikTok, YouTube Shorts has recently realised that there's now too much content. As such, it is no longer trying to feed people content based on what they watch and the algorithm that they have. It's not trying to guess what people want who aren't normally regularly searching for shorts. So while it will give you very similar stuff if you only use the shorts feed, it actually nowadays is fed by the search engine. So the search engine on YouTube is now for shorts primarily. With this in mind, the reason I've done so well recently is because quite a lot of my shorts were getting 6, 7, in some cases 20,000 views purely from the searches. With this in mind, the more people use a search, the more they then get into the shorts feed on my content. Before you know it, that's going everywhere. 133,000 views. I'm going to keep it up and see how it goes. But I do just want to say, if you're a content creator and you want to make shorts, get your SEO right, and you will find that sorry, got confused there. And you will find that the algorithm loves your work. This, Dan, if you're watching, is the perfect time to start taking some clips of matches featuring current WWE wrestlers, because that SEO will get things into their shorts feed, and before you know it, a lot of the wrestlers you currently have will be getting a lot of attention with the shorts that are already there. Just an opinion I wanted to share. Like, I'm confident you know what you're doing. Joey says, I don't get why Triple H is carrying on the Vince tradition of calling up people, not having creative plans for them. Trekipedia says, is NXT leaving Hulu as well soon once they jump to CW here in the States? Yeah. Tony Khan had a difficult press conference and had to call the finish early, appearing only himself without other talent to pad it out and making the media wait pretty significant amounts of times. He's recently been dodging questions or giving very vague answers about Britt Baker, transphobia from the partner of one of his talents, and ultimately, quote-unquote, ultra-violence. Now, when it comes to wrestling, violence definitely has a place in wrestling. You're watching wrestling for violence. The Attitude Era is heralded for a reason. And while I do think certain things were extreme for me, I don't think they're necessarily bad to have there. Do you remember when Jeff Hardy got his ear penetrated with a screwdriver? I still haven't watched that. That's not going to change. So the syringe was too much for me. The plastic bag was too much for me. That doesn't mean it's too much for everyone. So while I will look away in those moments and then immediately start singing the theme song to a series of unfortunate events, I don't necessarily think every bit of wrestling should only have me as its target audience. You need to remember, as a wrestling fan, I'm not a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm not a wrestling in wrestling fan. Very strange. But yes, Tony Khan seems to be continuing to dodge questions, and it is making it very difficult to nail him down at this point. Sean says, since Victoria and Jacqueline have signed Legends deals, fans want news of Nikki and Brie signing new Legend deals. Nikki and Brie would have to be willing to admit to retiring before that can happen. Bam Bam says, is Drew McIntyre next in line for Y6 after Bad Blood, and is tonight the end of this feud with Gable? I expect Drew McIntyre to take a little time off after Bad Blood, personally. And then I kind of think he's going after Gunter. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see Roman on the cover of 2K25. Bailey, I feel, would also be a good shout. Ishi says, hello Tom, hope you're okay. Doing well, thank you Ishi, welcome to the show. Nothing on Y6 tonight, no. Ron says, well Tom, except CM Punk. Yeah. Wrestling and Magic says, just a curious question. Which WWE can you see going to AEW and vice versa? At the moment, nobody. There's a very small amount of people. The obvious ones like Ricky Starks, naturally. Lucha Bros, there's a lot of buzz around them. When it comes to going the other way, at the moment, it's a very small collection of people. I would expect to see someone like Tegan Nox next, really. Trekkipedia says, so close to 80 likes. Keep it coming, please, everyone. We are, in fact, on 79, so we only need one. Spider-Boss says, do you think Christian Cage could cash in on Bryan Danielson at AEW Grand Slam in October? Could is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Sid says, was Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler a good match? No. It was Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler. It's never going to be a good match. Bailey says, congratulations on the shorts. That's over 10% of the annual goal of page views. It is indeed. We are close, now close, to 500k for the year. Now, we are behind where we wanted to be, I'll admit that. But if I can keep up what we were doing, I'll be absolutely flying. And I do feel the next big moment will be Bad Blood, because that's something that a lot of people are going to be searching for. Ian Jackson says, evening Tom, just logged in, so going back to the start, like my usual, keep up the great work, still watching The Pig. Thank you Ian, welcome to the show. Sean says, will SmackDown stay 2 hours when he moves to USA? The deal at the moment is for a 2-hour SmackDown. Shargane says, did you ever find out what Dijak did to royally piss off Nick Khan? I did not. I really didn't. Hector says, was the call to sign Hulk Hogan to any kind of a WWE contact a Nick Khan call? Because that doesn't seem like Triple H. Triple H has no interest in working for Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan merchandise is sellable. The name brings value. Nick Khan sees a financial benefit. Michael says, TK had to be in Miami for the Jaguars opening game on Sunday. Yes, but he is far from the first press conference where this has happened. He could have got there sooner, is what I'll say. Need to Nitro says, I think the way they handled the press conference was disgusting. Watch one content creator say they paid £500 for a flight to watch 40 minutes of post-show and a 15-minute Tony Khan piece. To be fair, they also saw All Out. So I don't think it's quite as bad as they're suggesting. Wiggly says, there's a difference between violence though and depicting attempted murder. Have you ever seen a Canadian destroyer? Pile driver? Basically attempted murder. Mary says, just came on the chat. Hello Tom, hope all is well. Will Nikki Cross be in the tag team match with the Wire 6 tonight? She'll definitely be involved in some capacity, yes. Trekkipedia says, exactly Tom, lots of wrestling to make fans happy on different levels, which I love. It's always been that way and that makes wrestling fun. I've shared my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinions. Do you feel AEW went too far with the All Out main event? And, Sean says, do you think Punk will be next for Gunter after he mentioned Gunter last Monday? Certainly, that's been rumoured. Wiggly says, Tom, I'm thinking of getting into esports. What's the better console to get? PS5 or Xbox Series X? For esports, PS5. That's just... Because it was by far the most successful console of the two, it's become the de facto. Bailey says, who's the number 2 person at AEW behind Tony Khan? Debatable. There were times it was Kenny Omega. So he says, what legends do you want to see on WWE 2K25? All of them. Give me all the legends. I'm greedy. Wrestling and Magic said, I could see Tegan Knox in AEW. Calvin says, I hope Theory brings back his old attire once he turns face, the shorts and vest. And Ishii says, are we still going to continue the White Six and Chad and Creed's feud after tonight? Don't know on this one. I'm not sure. I did say a little while ago I was expecting it to keep going. But at this point, I think we're about done. Tricky PD says, watch the pig, folks. Juan says, just wait till Brian Alvarez takes a victory lap. He was the one to guess that there would be issues between Britt Baker and Mercedes Money back in May. Yeah. Spider-Boss says, fans want edgy shows and violence matches. Then fans complain. Different fans, mate, different fans. Sid says there are YouTube videos that get 5 million viewers. Miss Rachel? I don't know what you mean by that, Sid. There definitely are. They tend to have a lot more subscribers than I do. But, you know, I'm happy with how we're doing. One of my shorts got 30,000 views. Can't complain. Drive-By says Roman hasn't had a 2K cover since becoming the tribal chief. He changed the game and he deserves it. I mean, he definitely did change the game. It's a completely new 2K. Michael says there are far more violent movies on TV than AEW. Absolutely fair point. Nita Nitro says, I agree, but you can watch All Out from home and get the same amount of content. True, but people choose to buy tickets, and if you're media, you didn't spend money on a ticket. Spider-Man says fans want edgy shows of violence, then fans complain about Maria May kissing Tony Storm or Hangman Page beating up Swerve. I haven't seen anyone complain about Maria May kissing Tony Storm, personally. I think I've just got a good timeline. Trekkie PD says the syringe was too much for me, but I can understand why some fans like it, same as a plastic bag. What upset me with the bag is it could have gone way wrong and he just finished a big match. True, and especially when you consider he got fired for choking at one point. Interesting. Of course you can, Wiggly. If you're a good gamer, you can break into it at any point. I'm technically the wrong side of 30. I'm still breaking into this. Hector says it may not be bad for everyone, but if there's people out there that may have some trauma with syringes or needles, that could have been a nightmare, but there was no warning, it just happened. To be fair, there'll also be people who can't handle thumbtacks and the like. I don't know what warning there could necessarily have been. It wasn't a case of syringe, jab. These things do take time and they tend to play to the crowd a bit. Ricky says, I think AEW did go too far in the main event. Had to look away as well. Yeah, the bag definitely wasn't for me. Wrestling and Magic says, I didn't think so, but the thing with Moxley and Danielson I thought was right on the limit. Still, it was a shock for me to see it, and Swerve and Hangman casting the perfect way to end the perfect way to end the feud. Brad does think AEW went too far. Char Game says the syringe spot wasn't disgusting, but it just made no sense. They didn't even say what was in it, which makes it seem like it was simply for shock value. Fair. Maybe the announce team didn't know. Calvin says John Moxley literally could have killed Bryan Danielson with that plastic bag. Certainly was additionally risky. Drive-By says, have you heard about any backstage issues at All Out? They've been reports of security running backstage. So those are reports of security running backstage. I'm not aware there was any actual backstage issue. Dane says, I didn't see the All Out main event. I don't watch Swerve Strickland matches. Fair enough. Spider-Boss says, how much truth were the reports about Britt Baker arguing with MJF and Alicia at Toot? It did happen. It did happen. That said, it is nowhere near to the degree as was said. There was a disagreement between Britt Baker and MJF. It was addressed, and they all moved on. No holes are punched. No walls are broken. Nobody went into the women's locker room who didn't need to be there. Dylan says, I just got upset for Eddie Kingston sitting at home having to watch them do his spot he asked for with a plastic bag. Fair. Jason says, not bothered personally. Plastic bag, done before. Needle spot, same as what's seen at sideshows. Chair shot, meh. Bad point for me was a cinder block spot, but 4 back surgeries will do that. Fair. Sean says, who do you see dethroning Bianca and Jade this time? When they lose the belts this time, will one of them turn heel? Not sure. I was honestly leaning towards damage control, but the injury kind of put paid to that for now. Jack, I will be touching on that shortly. Fair enough, Wiggly. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us. Wrestling and Magic says, thought it was more awkward when Hangman drank Swerve's blood. Yeah, that was too far for me, personally. Michael says, why would there be anything between Britt and Mercedes? Why does Mercedes get blamed for everything under the sun? To be clear, Britt Baker and Mercedes Money get on pretty well. Mary says, if Cody versus The Rock at Mania, would there be a possibility if Cody's still with the championship? Could The Rock beat Cody? There is always a possibility. At the moment, no. Logan Crest says, I still hate the fact that AEW now uses unprotected chair shots on the regular. I don't care how much they shaved it down. It's still too much until they learn to make chairs out of cake. Would I eat a chair made of cake? Probably. Yes. As regards the Warner Brothers Discovery AEW TV deal, there isn't one. Not as of yet. I keep seeing people say, oh, it's already in play. I keep seeing people say, oh, you're all going to be sorry when it comes out. I keep seeing people say, oh, it'll be like, you'll probably hear tomorrow. Just wait. Just be patient. I do feel Tony Khan is doing a lot of whipping up here, particularly the people who continually have updates that aren't updates seem to be people who continually have AEW news. So I do suspect he's leaking a little bit. But just to be absolutely clear, most people have not given you anywhere near enough information to be able to say you're going to be sorry. Most people have not been able to give you anywhere near enough information for a victory lap. Most people will take a victory lap anyway because it appeals to the base. And that sucks. At the moment, there is no update on an AEW Warner Brothers Discovery deal. The only information I've shared personally is that there has been an offer turned down by Tony Khan because it was way below the $1 billion deal he was looking for. The exclusivity period has ended, which allows Tony Khan to negotiate with different services. He has started to do so, and that has opened a whole world up to negotiations. And that's all I've really got on that one. There is and was a significant push planned for Bronson Reed. That was due to start in the next few weeks. He wasn't expected to win the Intercontinental Championship tournament anyway. That's why they were doing the fatal four-way instead of a straight match. But that significant push has naturally been pushed back. Bronson Reed will get some really big moments in the near future. I expect he might in fact beat Seth Rollins. And while that will be surprising, it will be a bit of a Keith Lee, Randy Orton moment. Bronson Reed is someone that Triple H really believes in. He's someone that a lot of people in the locker room really want to back. Bronson Reed will get his opportunities, and I suspect he'll get his flowers as well. Roger says, would you like to see John Cena as Doctor of Thugonomics? Seen it. Wrestling and Magic says, patience is the key. Spider-Boss says, there isn't a day in which the IWC doesn't complain about Mercedes money. Far too true. Mr. Tumble says, Tom, who is your tribal chief? Roman Reigns. No question, I was always a Roman guy. Trekkipedia said, I keep telling my friends, wait and see what happens with AEW because we can't say for sure. Yeah, the way people are celebrating before the fact, you'd think they've said, oh, this news is, this will be reported, this is how much it's for, this is the day it'll go out. They haven't said that. They've said, yeah, there's going to be a deal happening. Ha, I got you. You didn't believe me, but I was right all along. Yeah, what a stunner. Bill Smith says hi. Welcome, Bill. Sean says, do you see Bronson versus Gunter in the future? Future's a long time. They are the next generation. Dad says, when's Rey Mysterio versus Dom 1v1? It's happened a few times, mate. Happened a few times. Wrestling and Magic says, I believe Braun is there to get Bronson over to WWE, just like Big Show did for Braun. I mentioned that myself. In fact, I believe I was the one on Monday, last Monday, stating that Braun would be the one who gets the spot. It says, is Rhino a legend? Not for a while. There was an issue. If you watch the Talking Smack featuring Rhino as Santa, that will likely tell you a bit more about what the issue was. One says, remember Tony Khan said he would never ever talk to other suitors? Well, look how that turned out. He didn't really have another choice. Kiana James has indeed been moved from the active WWE main roster to the essentially temporary unavailable spot. There has been a recent surgery. I spoke to people in the WWE about what's going on with Kiana James, why we haven't seen her, and from what I've been told, WWE feel that they let her down by not using her. It's not a case of she let them down or anything like that. She's been given some time off to get on with her own thing while they work out a relaunch. Likely, she'll be drafted once again when the next draft comes around, and then they will try to work out what the next step is. Braun Strowman not likely to get the IC spot. Kiana James, the WWE feel that they have let her down, and they will try again once they've given it some time to do a rebrand and a relaunch. They don't want Emelina. That was crap. Emelina, I almost forgot. Ole, welcome. Says Braun was written off TV not only to put over Bronson, but also because he was here in Saskatchewan filming a movie cameo. He was able to get back and ready for it. He was expected to take a bit more time off, but the WWE gave him a call and he said, yep, I got you. Spiderboss says, I thought Daniel Garcia would win it all out, and ended well with Daniel Garcia getting his revenge on MJF. Mary says, Tom, will Roman and Cody interact with each other at all? Forever is a very long time. Mr. Stumble says, Tom, is a bracelet to CM Punk what the urn is to The Undertaker? Yes. What you need is a guy with a voice that goes, lifting it up, and then CM Punk becomes invulnerable to pain. Ele says, and my sources are the film crew who used our wrestlers from PPW for the scene Braun is in. Fair enough, mate. I was not aware of that. You need to report that. Get the word out. I'll share. Hello. One says Tony Khan himself now said there's a 90% chance there'll be an announcement next month based on the TV deal. So now he's using percentages. You guys know how I feel about percentages. Complete guesswork. A deal can't be 90% done. A deal is either done or not done. If it's 90% done, it's not done. Sean says, speaking of Emma, congrats to her and Riddick Moss on the announcement they're expecting their first child. Indeed, congratulations to them. Luke and Chris says, I'm so tired of Tony's non-announcements regarding Schrodinger's TV deal. I like it. I will have a check and see if I can get that shared, Ole. Deathgasm 2 Gormageddon. Wow. Mr. Summer says, Tom noticed how CM Punk is undefeated when wearing the bracelet. I didn't, but that's a very, very good spot. There are rumours that AEW are considering the debut of a new AEW TV show on Fox. Despite flagging ratings, the concept of an AEW show on Fox after Fox has specifically refused to renew with the WWE is a good one. It's a strong one, and it's a negotiation that is actually underway. The main reason is actually quite simple. Fox are interested in AEW and not WWE because AEW is an incredible amount cheaper than WWE was. It would be a much lower TV deal. It would be the case of spreading quite thin, but they have a long, deep roster, a long, deep, hard roster who can make that work. What I will say is, once again, look at the people who are sharing this news and remember how often they get given stuff to share. Sure Game says, what did everyone at WWE think of Joe Tessitore's first show? Loved it. Thought it was fantastic. Eager to see more. Hector says, unless Scott Steiner is talking about math, I don't care about it. And yes, Dylan, I do. Indeed. We have been live for an hour and that's going to be our show. We have 119 people here. We peaked at 128. 86 likes, 4 more to 90, but we didn't quite get there. A shame, but we are where we are. Thanks once again for the donations, for the generosity, and for the company. We will be live again on Friday, and we'll have PLE Wednesday coming up this Wednesday as well, with details on what we expect for Wargame. But until then, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.